All right, so hey, I'm back. I've been doing a little bit of work on this question of how does Social Security impact military retirement? And of course, this is one of my live streams, so they're boring as hell. But um, what I'm gonna so we're doing the behind the scenes stuff, right? Figuring out how to do the analytics to show what's going on here. And in the case of the Social Security, I think that maybe the best way to say it is a complicated mess. And so the problem I'm dealing with right now is how do I take the way that Social Security benefits are calculated and then break that down into some bite-sized chunks that I can kind of present to the audience. Now, the real reason that we're here is because apparently some people actually watched the first live stream, which is mind-boggling to me, or at least they looked at it. But what I really want to do is I want to get a comment. So be the absolute first person to notice that I'm doing a live stream and come in and comment, and let's see how that works. All right. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna keep working on this thing. I'll start to show you why there's an issue here, and you can see the techniques I use to get a solution to it. All right. All right. So let me just share my screen. Right. Okay. All right. So, and I got my chat. I want to see what you have to say. All right. So here is the real issue that I'm dealing with. Social Security seems to impact retirees in a couple of different ways. And the first one has to do with just this basic issue of how your Social Security benefits are calculated. And to show you what I mean, let's take a look at this. This is my Social Security statement, right? So I pulled this up earlier today. You might have seen me go online and do this. Anyways, you'll see that it very clearly shows me my personalized monthly retirement estimate. But here is the interesting thing. It says that this estimate is based on an assumption that I continue to earn $145,000 a year until I start my benefits. And where that's kind of problematic is if you scroll down here, they've got my earning. So you see that $145,000 figure. Essentially, what they see in my earnings is me being a colonel. In fact, this is me being a colonel. So what they're saying when they create this estimate, they're assuming that I continue to be a colonel. So, to the best of my ability, I intend to not work ever again. But the but then what effect does that have? Because now all of a sudden I can't trust the Social Security Administration to tell me what my benefits are going to be, which means I can't really figure out what's going to happen to my income streams once I get into my 60s. All right, so how do we represent that to our audience, my audience, right? So, well, maybe the first thing is just that point. Okay. Let's just make a new slide. Make a new slide, but really what I want to do is I want to go here. I think that I have pulled in my normalized earnings. Yeah. Yes. So my normalized earnings. Listen, there's a ton of crap here that is going to get trimmed out and modified and cleaned up. Uh, it's kind of the behind the scenes stuff that has to be done. Anyways, what I'm going to need, all right, so what I did is I took my income from that statement. All right, so let's go to the statement itself. We're going to do 2 clips. First one, let's get this. Actually, I think I'm going to get more than 2 clips. All right, so this is that. And then I kind of want that. Sometimes one of the things I have to do in order to present material is I have to restructure it on the slide. And so, like you'll notice that with the Army regulations, that sometimes what I do is I actually cut up the title. That title page, what I do is I trim it up so that I can get the date and the title in the same place in a way that's pleasant to see. All right, there's that. It's kind of basically what I'm trying to do, right? And it says this, but let's go get the point that, okay, here's the other thing that I'm doing, just so you're aware of, and by no means is this finalized, but what I'm doing is kind of following the rule of left to right, top to bottom. So as I anticipate how I'm going to be explaining this to people, even though the official statement or the estimate has this information on the right, I actually want to put it on the left. And I want to put it on the left because I'm going to talk about that chart before I talk about this section here that I'm about to trim out. All right. Now listen, I'm being a little bit sloppy with these trims. In fact, maybe a little bit more than a little sloppy, because in reality, what I'll do is I'll crop this. I'll eventually crop this, right? In fact, I'll probably do that right now, just to make sure that I get rid of that. A lot of times it's easier to crop than it is to make the snip nice and tight. Okay. All right. So that's the basic thing. Let me throw a bit of a highlight on that. So I'm just going to do this, and no shape, no fill. I want it to be red. Red's always good, right? I'll make it very thick. And just because the red matches some of this text, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it. No, is that? No, like that. Just use that. All right. The other thing that is in my head, a lot of times you'll see that I put something in the background. And I'm thinking about what kind of image to put back there. So let's make a new slide. And let's go. What I want to do is I want to search for social security. And what I really want to do is look at images. Oh, I love that. That is smart. Let's see. That's a good quality one. And the way that I can tell it's good quality is like when I mouse over it, do you see the 2800 by 18 something? that is that means it's a really high detail one. So I'm going to copy this image. Sooner or later, I'm going to get in real big trouble because someone will see this and realize that I'm doing some copyright infringement stuff. And when they take me to jail, yeah. But in the meantime, you can learn how to do it too. And we'll see how we go. All right, so that looks nice. Now you notice that I just pasted this here. And the reason for that has to do with, see how there's all that white space? I want to get rid of that. So one of the tools I use all the time is remove background. Okay. And I'm going to say, and every time, almost every time, you like automatically it tries to take out the stuff. Anything that's purple, it's trying to trim out. And I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that. Now, if you notice, it's trying to eliminate the edge of this this card. I don't want to try to keep that. So I undo. I come back here. Let's go with this. All right. All right. Now what I want to do is I want to crop the heck out of it. So I'm going to just manually crop this. So yeah, crop it. All right. So now I've got a much smaller one. And I'm going to do one other thing here. All right, I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'll show you why, and then you'll see why I wanted to do this. All right, so I'm going to copy this. I'm going to, what do I want to do? I'm going to copy it. Come on. Copy it. And the reason I want to copy it is because I want to do a format background. I'm going to do a picture text fill. This is an old background you might have seen me use. I want this. All right. And the reason that I'm about to do something is, do you notice how there's this white space here and it's up here, like it's cut off up there? I don't like that. So I'm going to undo and get rid of the background. Okay. In fact, I'll get rid of that. And what I'm going to do is, remember, well, let me show you. All right, so I'm going to make a square. It doesn't have to be the same size as a slide, but it does have to be the same dimension. And so it's just easier to do this. I'm going to send it backward, put it behind this card, and then I'm going to make this card as big as the slide also. That's crap. Get a format. So the shape is 7.5 by 13 3/3. So we get a picture here. Let's make this 7.5. Aha, right. Okay, so here's just one of the little things is you remember how I was getting the top trimmed off? That was happening because this fake card is not the same it's not the same aspect ratio as a slide. So part of the reason I'm doing what I'm doing right now is just to make up for this, okay? All right, so looking at that square that I have, that rectangle I have in the back, I want to get rid of the outline, just no outline to it. And now I want to decide how to fill it. Normally, what I would do is I would just pick a color. You just use the color picker to do that. So you go down to the eyedropper and just click something, right? That is not making me entirely happy. So what I would like, I kind of like, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop out So like you see this, you see how this there's like this background on the card itself. I want to get that, and so all right, yeah. So where I was using that rectangle, I'm going to actually change my tactic here. And I'm just going to make a couple of these. Yep, this will work. Let's copy this, paste, I'll put it over here, right, put it over there, and then I'm actually, I did copy paste and I ended up with 3 objects, but what I really want to do for this top part is I'm going to paste it as a picture so that I can rotate it. Grab this thing, swap it around, put it here. Okay, and then stretch it across like that. Paste, bring it down. Right, all of this is going to be just sort of in the background, so I'm not too terribly concerned, right? But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this whole sort of like rough banner into, I'm going to copy it, and then I will paste it as a picture. Okay, so now what I have is an object with a hole in it, right? And I'm going to get rid of all this stuff that I was doing to make this. Ah! I don't want to delete my final mask. Okay. All right. And there we go. There we go. And then I'm going to send this to the back. That. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste it again as a picture. All right. So now you see how basically what I've done is I've assembled these different pieces into a single picture. And I'm going to delete all that sort of prep work. I put it in here. And 17.5 by, I'm going to make it 13.33. Aspect ratio is locked so that I can't. Okay, I'm going to crop it to an aspect ratio. That should give me, perfect. All right, now what I'm going to do, this is like the final touch, is I'm going to copy it. That's not what I want to do. Copy it and make a new slide. But here, I'm going to paste it into the background. All right, so now this up here, it's an object that sits on the slide. I can move it around, but it makes a terrible background because if I do that, then what happens is every time I'm working, it gets like I grab it accidentally and I move it. I don't want that, right? What I want is I want to be able to click and drag and never grab that object, right? So now this is my background. Let me just there's one last thing I like to do with the background. So I was formatting the background, and what I like to do is make it transparent, right? So all right, and I want to apply it to all of my previous slides. So I just click there, and now that looks like that's terrible. Damn it. Nobody's watching, right? Okay. Um, God, that was looking so clever, and then it just looks like crap. All right, undo. I'm gonna save it, right? I'm gonna keep that work, but all right, back to the problem at hand, and that is trying to communicate how this estimate was developed and why it presents a problem for military service members. And it has to do with your earnings estimated. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to show the earnings that were used to calculate this estimate. I got a new slide here, but really what I want to do is come over to my to this data, right? So your earnings record, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Your earnings record is on the second page of your Social Security statement, and I'm just going to click that. Give a nice click on that. And I'm going to throw this in here. But what I really want to do is I want to make a chart. And this is going to be a bar chart. Bar chart because in this case, I'm representing quantities by year, and there are no half years, right? It's either in a year or not. So where's my data? Select data. I'm going to add. This is, what do they call this? Oh, what do they call this? Earnings record. All right. And I'm going to do this. I'm only going to go back to 2006. Oh, whoops, I grabbed the wrong one. That was the wrong column. So it's okay. I'm going to do this, 2006. Okay. Now you notice, I don't know if you see this, I do not have 2023. I'm going to plug that in. And so, I'm gonna add one here. What I'm doing is so they do this thing where they normalize. Earnings. They normalize your earnings. And they got a little way that they do it, but I'm okay. And 23 is 2023 is a little odd because they have the table I got this from doesn't have data for it. So, all right. So what this means is I'm going to need a legend. Now, I'll show you one of my favorite tricks with these legends. You get a legend, you put it at the bottom. Yeah, but let's do this, right? So I just kind of stacked those two. What I really am going to do is I'm going to bring it up here. But you see that when I did that, I'm going to do this. Okay. And I want to do this because it's looping. And I want to give it a fill that is white and an outline that is black and like that. Okay. Um, and now earning record. Earning record is a lousy title for that set of data. So let's go look at earnings record. Earnings, what do they call that? Is I know what I'll call it. So I want to change that legend. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to edit this and I'm going to text earnings. All right. Okay. Like that. Taxed earnings and this. And of course, it's just it's just a cost of living adjustment applied to your past earnings to kind of normalize them out. Now, one of the first things I want to do with this is give it a title. Chart title. No. Not like that. Chart title. I want it above the chart. Why is it doing this to me? Ugh. There we go. This is all right. And let's get rid of the. I think I want 0. Yeah, I want 0. Zero overlap. And then I'm going to reduce the gap. So one of the things is the white space between, let's see. There we go. So you basically make them thicker, right? Run this a little wider. There we go. And then I got to think about colors. Green and gold are always nice. Right? So I'm going to make this green. So we're going to fill this here with a black outline. Gold. I want to make this gold, right? So give it a black outline. Yep. Okay. I don't like how these numbers look on the bottom, but part of the way I might deal with that is like this. Actually, I might just get rid of this altogether. I might get rid of it because the point that I'm going to try to make here there it is. The point that I want to make actually has to do with my rank. Yeah, see, I don't think that I'm going to want the normalized earnings in this chart. Now, I've said this before that when you present data to somebody, they make comparisons, right? And you want to, and they make they will independently make comparisons about everything. And you want to be in control, or at least you want to limit the things that they see in order to make them see the comparison that you want them to see. All right. Here's what I'm talking about. If you take a look at this chart, you see how I've got the text and the normalized. The point that I'm trying to make is that my highest earning years were while I was a colonel, and that the Social Security Administration is basing their estimate on my future benefits off of the assumption that I will continue to earn my colonel's pay. Um, well, that ain't going to happen. So, um, so that in and of itself presents a challenge about understanding what your um, future Social Security benefits are going to be. That's my point. My highest earning happened in my 40s, which is not typical for Americans, or is not typical for most working people. But what I've done here is I've put both the taxed and the normalized, which both play a part in this, right? I'm not saying that normalized isn't important. I'm saying that including the normalized earnings distracts from the point I'm trying to make. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the normalized earnings out and remove it. Select data, normalized earnings, and remove it. You'll notice I removed it instead of just unclicking it. Okay. And now I'm going to get rid of that. When I only have one piece of data that's showing, I try not to have a legend. If I can get away without having a legend, I usually prefer that. All right, so let's copy this. And I'm going to paste it into here. Now, one thing, this is actually, when you're sharing data back and when you're working between Excel and PowerPoint, there's a couple of different ways that you can paste data. You can embed it. There's a couple of ways you can embed it using different formatting. You can link the data. Apparently, a couple of ways you can do that. I never do that. Do not do that. What you want to do is you want to just paste it as a picture. Now, there's actually two, maybe three reasons for that. The first one being if you embed the data in your PowerPoint and then you give your PowerPoint to somebody who's not technically savvy, then they can screw up the whole presentation. That's the first thing. Number two, if you embed your data in your PowerPoint and you give it to someone who is technically savvy, what they can do is they can manipulate your data. And that becomes a huge problem. You can easily imagine how, one organization wants to, here's the best way to say it. You can imagine how you've got an organization and they've got their slide with their template, it's their official logo, and it's their official data, and it is their submitted report, and somebody starts monkeying with it. So now it has the look of being official from them, but somebody has adjusted it. And actually, that can happen without intent. The other thing is people can kind of start poking around behind the scenes. If you embed the entire spreadsheet, then they can see things that may not be part of what you're showing. Like if I embedded this entire spreadsheet, if I embedded this entire workbook, they would be able to see these other charts, even though all I really wanted them to see is this one. So what I always do, and I always tell my people to do this, is you're going to copy paste as a picture. That's a little bit irritating because if you aren't good at copying, pasting pictures, it feels clumsy. But once you get comfortable with that, then you just manipulate this as a picture, you crop it, you do whatever. All right. So this needs a little bit more development, and I'm just going to leave myself a note. And that note is highest okay. All right. All right. So let's go back to the spreadsheet and kind of think about this. Hey, listen, I'm kind of out here. Uh, I'm experimenting with this whole idea of just going on live, share, sharing tips and tricks, but also doing it so that if you're out there and you have a question about anything, like not even what I'm doing, if you said, hey, what's the current DoD policy on COVID mask wear for people who've been exposed, um, that we would work together to track that down. And uh, and so I'm kind of keeping an eye out for the first person who notices I'm live, hops on. Like I don't think anybody has hopped on yet, and um, who like gives me a chat. And it's entirely possible that I don't have my chat function set up right. So, granted, you look around, it looks like I'm really low quality. Yeah, I'm low quality. I'm trying to figure out how this works. All right. The next thing. All right. The next thing has to do with something called Amy. Uh, all right. So there's this concept that Social Security Administration has called Amy. And what is really weird about it is um, they don't tell you what your Amy is. Let's see. I'm gonna try to get back to where I was. Crap. Okay. Yeah. So there's 3 steps to this process. There's 3 steps to how the Social Security Administration calculates your benefits. Um, Actually, maybe I'd call it 4. Uh, so um, the first one is calculate AB. And then they calculate PAI, PIA, PIA. Then they calculate um, reduced benefits. And then they due to employment, to income. All right, reduced. What do they call these things? So what they're really doing is personally, they calculate monthly retirement benefits based on when you start. That's what is really that third step I'm talking about. Let me just age based And yeah. Okay, so this kind of captures like the basics of how they come up with that number. Now, let me go back and see. Let's go talk about how they do. So, okay, this is when the normalized comes in. So what they do is they take your nominal earnings, they multiply it times an indexing factor. Let's change this. Build nominal earnings table. Then what they do is they apply what they call it? Index factor. And then they take average of high 35 years. High 35 years. Now, one of the things, let's capture this. They illustrate with two examples. In each case, this is another one of those places where my first instinct is just to clip it. Sometimes what I will do is later when I format everything up, I'll like copy the text and format the text and cite the stuff, but now I'm just doing this. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link in here if I have to come back to it. All right, there's that. Take average, and then they take the average of high first, and then they do something else. Let's see. Let me just real quick look at my calculator here. If I clear this. Okay, if I take, I'm just checking to see 2235012 divided by 35 divided by 12. Yeah, see, there's kind of a step that they did there where they divide it by, they're just dividing it by a couple of different things. So where am I at here? Take average of those and then divide by 12 to get Amy. By the way, Amy is, what's the right name for that? It's called the average indexed earnings, monthly earnings. Yeah. All right. Still watching out for my first person to fall for my trap. Let me go see. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if I can even tell if somebody is on. Ah, that thing is crazy, right? Start chat. I guess not. All right, back over there. Ah, that's not where that's not where I want to be. That is still not where I want to be. All right, here we go. Okay, so that's the first math. And then they have this thing called the PAI. I wish it was smarter than this. I gotta fix the fix the bulleting. Okay, so the next step here is they're going to go to the PAI. The next step, right? I click on I think you kind of got to give them credit. I mean, once you start picking at this, it starts to help. All right, PAI is primary insurance amount. Primary insurance amount. And let's do that thing where I copy the URL. Copy. We're just going to toss it in here for now. Okay, throw it in there. And then let's go look. Okay. Benefit based on page. We're going to come down there. It's funny. They actually skip like an explanation step here. So the PAI formula. The PAI formula. I'm going to put this in here. So one of the things that I do when I'm building a brief, especially when I'm building a brief that kind of like goes through a lot of muck like this, is you'll notice that I go through it. Like I'm not building the polished brief, but I'm starting to structure it, right? I want to make this point, and then I want to make this point, and as I'm going through, as much as possible, I'm trying to limit the number of points that I make to get to the thematic point of the presentation itself. And the thematic, I don't know, I'm not even sure what the thematic point of this chunk is yet. I think that there's three pieces, at least three pieces here. In fact, let me just throw a slide in here and say, see what the three pieces are. So like number one is benefit estimates may be incorrect. Right, that's the big one. And number two is when to claim Social Security. Effect of, right, let's go back to here, right? So PIA, the PIA it's a single formula. It has, there's the formula, and there are these things they call breakpoints. And just, I was doing this earlier when I wasn't streaming, but yeah. So essentially, as your AMI goes up to the right, this is your AMI, your PIA goes up like this, right? So if you're down here, it goes up very rapidly, and so like I can show that formula. In fact, let me just copy this. sort of hit this point of PIA. And one of the weird things is you'll hear them talk about, actually, and this is one of those crazy things where I will probably show this picture before I explain everything about it, or at least the necessary things about it. I show this picture because this I don't know that the breakpoints are important to people, but the breakpoints. Let me go show you why I'm stuttering on this. Breakpoints change over time. So let's see if I can copy this table. See what happens when I try to put this into a blank sheet. I don't see, it gave me its formatting. I don't want the formatting, but I do want the data. It's very nice. Okay. All right. Delete that year. Now, normally whenever I pull data in like this, what I do is I copy the URL that it came from, just so that if I have to go back and find it again, I've got an idea where it was. The other thing is, you notice how I ended up getting these extra columns that have to do with the maximum family benefit. I'm not interested in that right now, so I'm going to delete all of that. This is formatted as currency, but this is formatted in general, so I'm just going to copy this for sanity's sake. What I want to do this is going to seem a little weird, but I'm going to throw in a line chart. I'm not exactly sure. What I want is first break point. And at some point, somebody's going to say, well, why the heck does this matter? Well, I don't know. It matters because I am at least 12 years away from claiming unemployment, from claiming Social Security. And so by the time I would make my claim, these breakpoints are going to have moved. So knowing what they are, okay, and I'm going to add the second breakpoint. Grab these. Okay. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can swap. If I can switch these. What happens? No. This is one of those times where I start thinking about if I can change the series type to scatter plot. Right? Scatter plot. Scatter plot. Okay. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is it put these on different axes, and part of the reason has to do with the fact that my second breakpoint, it didn't actually have its own axis. It was just riding on the axis of the, and it didn't have x values, right? So I just need to go get some x values. Okay. 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 Um, do not want that. But I did all of that because I'm still trying to swap my X and Y axes. Still not happy with that. Crap. All right. Let's get rid of all this data. What I want to do is I want my first breakpoint is the X value. I don't want years to be the X values. I want the dollars to be X values. And that is why I'm going to need this as a scatter plot, because it's expecting my X values to be categorical, not continuous. Okay. Let's see. Second breakpoint. Okay. And my Y values are the years. This should look like a funnel. Yes. All right. All right, so the whole point of this is that as time goes by, these are getting wider, and that will affect your my earnings also. All right. Okay. So now, it's a pretty simple formula for this thing, except that it is subject to change. And I don't know at this time what how those breakpoints are set. I'm not sure I really care. I don't know that that's the point, right? It's one of these deals where you really only care about the factors that you can influence or that will impact you if you are unaware of them. Calculate age-based benefits. Okay. So the first thing here is your full retirement age. All right. Full retirement age. And then the all right, so let's go back. Somewhere on here. Oh, this handy table. This isn't what I wanted, but at some point when I'm doing this, I'm just going to say, look, I'm assuming that you're born in 1960. Like if you're a retiring service member, I'm figuring you're 1960 or later. Like, let's see. If you were born in 1960, yeah, you'd be 64. Like if you're what are the maximum military service ages? mandatory military retirement age. Ah, look at that. That is good. U.S. Code 1253. I love it. All right, 1253. Title 10. So let's go. U.S. Code. This is my favorite website. 10, 1253. Do-do-do. Ah, that's not exactly what I want, but I can go to the previous section. Those are professors at academies. Below colonel, flag officer. Ah, huh. Now I'm mildly curious. I'm mildly curious for regular commissioned officers and grades below first and exceptions. Gonna do my trick again. So sometimes what I love to do is I love to assume away complicated stuff. Um, but in order to do that, you sometimes have to show that it's okay. So there's enlisted. Mandatory retirement, 30 years has been the norm. I don't care about what's been the norm. Oh man, this falls apart pretty good. What age are you forced to retire from the military as enlisted? This is the kind of shit that I hate. The, um, like the top answers are a blog and Kutera. Army regulation mandatory. Listed. All right. Federal law, DoD policy. Army policy. All right, so let's go look at Army publications. I'm very confident that we're going to end up in the 60s range. Um, this is kind of some of the rabbit hole work that I do. This is one of those things that if you are planning to go brief a general officer and you're uh, going to go in and you're going to present information, it's handy to to have a little bit more background than you're actually going to show. There's what you know and there's what you show, and this is the kind of thing like if somebody springs it on me of mandatory retirement stuff, um, I would have it at least in my head to back me up. So I'm going to search this. Great. Retention in an active duty status after qualification for retired pay. Retirement for regular This is new. Oh, look at this. This is really neat. AR 135-180. See how it has just come out, but it is not in effect. Um, the older edition. Here, I'll show you what I mean. Because this is actually this might be the one that has the age question answered. Yeah, well, the internet does its thing. All right, General George is signing off. Where's what I'm saying? Okay, so it was signed on the 9th of February, but it's not effective until the 9th of March. That's why there are two versions of this. Why there's these two versions still here. But anyways, I'm looking for this thing about age. Oh, that's going to be a pain. Let's look for a word mandatory. That's not giving me anything I want. That wasn't satisfying. Back to here. Retirement. Retention. Huh. I mean, this is still the same thing we were looking at. Notice that the title changed. Retirement for non-regular service. Now it's retirement for regular and non-regular. It's really weird. I feel like there should be a 600. Like that was the breadcrumb that we started out on here. Right? AR 600-8-24. Retirement Services Program. Promotions and emotions. Reassignment. Readiness processing. This whole thing about what, like, wait a second. Enlisted promotions, transfers, and discharges. Enlisted, what I really want is like enlisted. Let me try that. Enlisted assignments and utilization, administrative separations. Listed administrative separations, promotions. Active duty enlisted. Let's take a look at this. Hey, while this is spinning, I'm experimenting with the whole live stream. I understand it is boring as anything, but the goal here, what I'm looking for, is somebody who clicks on this live stream while I'm live streaming. That hasn't happened yet, so I don't know what happens when you do. And I'm looking for somebody to leave a chat in the chat, because part of my goal is to provide interaction here. So, like, if you had a question about something completely unrelated to what I'm doing, I would stop what I was doing and chat with you. But for now, I'm just here. What am I looking at? I'm looking for sometimes these short words are hard to search for. Let's try this. No, I try to put some spaces in there. Mandatory, not many of them. These are administrative separations. Just looking here, guidelines, separations after expiration, period of active duty, active training, date, medical processing, other than honorable, bars to continued service, promotion processes for separation, character. Yeah, this isn't really. See, it seems like you would have to have a separation due to age. All right, let's go back. I'm going to try age again. And I'm just going to be very. Oh, yeah, for God's sakes. Page. Leave and conjunction separation. I'm just having to eyeball this as I go through. This is another reason I want to do these live streams is like if you have a smart recommendation or if you know where the hell this thing is, that'd be awesome. All right, come on. Separation due to pregnancy, separation substance abuse, discharge in lieu of court-martial, entry length of service, retirement for length of service, general provisions, requirements and procedures, computation of service, unsatisfactory performance, misconduct, plenary authority, charges, instructor and benefits, failure to meet body fat. Let's go back up here. This one. Retirement for length of service. Just going to kind of retirement authority. Following individuals are retirement authorities for soldiers with less than 20-year retirement law. A soldier who has completed 20 years but less than 30 may be retired at his request. The soldier must have completed 30-year law. Reserve. A regular Army soldier who has completed at least 30 years of active federal service will, upon request, be placed on the retired list. Advancement on the retired list. Retired officers. Oh, let me try this. Years. Well, all right. So, rabbit hole, right? The whole point of this was to get where I could say, I just assume that everybody is going to have a maximum retirement date of 67. All right, because it comes to this flow of information is right. So we got, where is this? Right. So we're going to calculate the age-based adjustments. So the way they do this, yet another formula, and I had it. Oop, this is not the one I want. Yet another formula, but I gotta find where they talk about this. I thought that I was able to get to it from here. Wage-based, PIE bend points, automatic determinations. maximum family benefits, normal retirement age. The normal retirement age is the age at which benefits before rounding are equal to the primary. We have a calculator that computes the percent reduction or percent increase yearly or delayed retirement. Okay, they got a calculator for this. Ah, yes, this page. Ah, let's see. This is the early or late. See, one of the weird things about this is it seems like different parts of the Social Security Administration handle different parts of this calculation. Ah, and here is the text. You get credits for waiting, but I'm not going to go into that. What I'm going to do is take this. All right, and this explains like the math that goes along with it. That's that. And now comes the big question about how to handle these. Um, I don't know that I can pause a live stream. So I'm going to end this live stream, go eat some lunch, and I'll be back.